Hi Adele, how are you? You lived a life relatively out of the spotlight for the last few years, and so to suddenly be plunged back into this machine has got to be a bit bracing, I would imagine.
I mean, I was prepared. I wasn't going into it blind. I know the difference between my two lives. And by two lives, I mean mommy and then me, so obviously I was kind of braced for it. Not on this level, because it's never even been on this level. 21 was pretty mad, but this is just insane. But I've got to be honest with you. My kid comes everywhere and he is so grounding. I was saying the other day that doing it again with a kid this time, and it's making me more tired than normal. But on the other hand, he just brings me back down to earth. So I'm feeling pretty balanced about it, actually, and I have only him to thank for that.
Listeners have such a personal connection to your songs. I imagine they must want to not just take selfies with you, but like cry with you. How do you handle the intensity of all of that emotion, especially from total strangers?
I take it as a huge compliment, really. I listen to music as a fun for the outlet of my emotions and stuff like that. So the fact that people seem to be listening to my music for the same thing or react to it in the same way I do with certain artists and bands, it's really wonderful, and that is why I like to put my music out there. Obviously, I hope that I bring joy to people's lives, not just sadness. And I find that most people feel quite relaxed around me. I've met a couple that have been a bit hysterical, like uncontrollable shaking and stuff like that. But I'm like, come on, stop it. It's just me. I'm not Britney. What are you doing?
The album titles are named after the ages you were making them. Do they mark specific chapters of your life at that age? And will you be able to look back and remember how you were feeling at that time?
Yeah, totally. I didn't want to call this record 21 at first. I thought it was really obvious. I thought everyone would be like, oh, she ain't got any imagination, has she? I was trying to come up with something else, but in the back of my mind it was always 21 as a title. But I just kept swerving it. Then I listened back to 19 and read reviews from live shows and stuff like that. And suddenly felt like that it's properly 2 years later, and 21 is really an official age, and I do feel like I've really become an adult in those last 2 years. So it was really an obvious title, but I think being obvious sometimes is right, rather than trying to be clever.
How we know Rick Rubin produced some of the songs on the new album. How did he come on board?
Rick Rubin works for Sony, and then he came down to CNL. I'm not sure if he wanted to, but his girlfriend wanted to. And then he really loved it. Then we met and Music Cares, which was the couple of nights before the Grammys for Neil Diamond, and I sang there. And I was actually the worst of the night. He always tries to say, no, you were one of the best, but I wasn't. I followed Jennifer Hudson and it wasn't so cool. He tried to boost my confidence going, like saying it was brilliant, it was great, and then when I won Best New Artist, he sent me an email saying, shall we do a record together?
Were you concerned at all about what music Rick Rubin normally produced? How it might differ from your own? And what he might do to your music?
I didn't think we would fit in together at all, actually. That's why I was so intrigued to do it, because when he said he wanted to do it, I was so like, what? I think it was a challenge for both of us, and I think that's why we both wanted to do it. He seems to be a person you can't really say no to, but understandably, there must have been concerts that he wasn't quite right for you. I mean, I wasn't daunted by it at all. If it didn't work, it didn't work. It would be an expensive mistake if it didn't work, but it did work and it was brilliant. It was just too much of a good opportunity to pass up, really. He was just so wise. I've actually never been so chill out being involved in music as I was when I was in Malibu with him and the band.
Adele, do you think there is a limit to how honest you can be in song and what emotions you put in there?
I don't, because sometimes I'm like, no, I like being honest, and sometimes I'm like, I wish I hadn't written that, so I really don't know. I think it just depends on my mood. Sometimes I don't want anyone knowing of my business, and other times I'm like, maybe I'll just say it how it is.
You know, I asked on social media what people wanted to ask you, and everybody said motherhood. How does it change you as a singer, a songwriter, an artist? And just judging from this conversation with you, it changed everything. It's what you talk about more than anything else.
Yeah, everything. It's really hard when I was like growing up to start doing interviews again. I was like, okay, I'm not gonna talk about my kid because obviously we live such a private life. But it's the biggest part of my life, so it's impossible for me to talk about my life without talking about him. The love I feel for him is so overwhelming. It takes my breath away, and I'm able to love someone that much, and that's what I've been looking for my whole life. I have it in my partner, and I'm lucky for that. But I'm going to be a mom forever, no matter what happens. And that love is always going to be there.